Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. This is a video response to Nelly B3000. She posted a video entitled Black Men Want Black Women to Take Down the White Man and Weave. So I'm going to do this video response in defense of black men. In defense of black men. But before I go into the substance of this video, I'll just start off by saying this. There's an all-out war against black people right now. Every other day you hear about another black person killed by these police. And every other day you hear about police officers getting away with murder. These police are not indicted. They are rarely indicted. And when they are indicted, they often get away with murder. They're often released and free to go. So you have black people dying and being killed, and these police get away with it. You have constant reminders that we don't live in any kind of post-racial society. Every other day there's a new example of blatant racism that stares us in the face. Every other day. And when you go beyond just examples of individual cases of racism, you look at this society and you see that we continue to suffer from institutionalized racism in this country. Black people are at the bottom rung of this white-dominated and controlled society. We are at the bottom rung economically. When it comes to wealth, there are huge wealth disparities between black people and white people. When it comes to education, there are huge disparities between black people and white people. When we look at how many of the schools have inferior resources when compared to white schools, when we look at the disproportionate disciplinary action that is taken against black youth that leads to a school to prison pipeline, when we look at the performance and achievement gap between black and white students, we see that there's inequality in this society. When we look at a criminal justice system that mass incarcerates black people, when we look at a war on drugs that is nothing but a war on black people, where black people are overly incarcerated and they become the new slaves in this Obama era. We see that we have major problems that need to be addressed. When we look at communities plagued with poverty, plagued with drugs, plagued with violence, self-destructive violence, we see that we have a major problem that needs to be addressed. When we look at all the murders going on in Chicago and cities like Detroit and Baltimore, we have an urgent situation that needs to be addressed. A colossal problem that needs to be addressed. The last thing that we need to do as a people is fight each other. The last thing that we need is a so-called gender war. When black men and black women fight each other, nobody wins. The black community doesn't win. The only entity that wins is this power structure, a power structure built upon our oppression as a people. That's what happens. So we don't need any more black men on YouTube bashing black women, and we don't need black women bashing black men. You can't condemn black men for making sweeping generalizations about black women when you make sweeping generalizations about black men. In this video, this sister says that black men will not defend black women from white people. She says that black men fear white men and love white women. She says that black men will actually join in and support white supremacy against black women. She makes all these statements in a general kind of way. She didn't say some black men or even many black men. She just said black men. And then she did mention that there are some black men who are willing to defend black women. But she made it appear as if they were in some minority, as if they were so insignificant minority, and that the overwhelming majority of black men are against black women. That's what was implied in her video. When you look at the imagery, she depicted the black men as the monkeys and apes in that movie, The Jungle Book. And there were large numbers of these monkeys and apes in the movie. She said that those apes and monkeys represented like the trolls or the misogynists that were against black women. And then these two characters, just two characters, represented those black men and other races of men who were willing to defend black women. So I just think that overall, her video made generalizations about black men. There are plenty of black men that throughout history who have defended black women, who have given their lives defending black people and black women, from the early days of slavery into modern times. So I just think that it is factually inaccurate to suggest that most black men fear white men, to suggest that most black men are not going to stand up, to suggest that most black men hate black women or participate and support white supremacy. There's no concrete data that backs that up. There's no evidence at all that proves that. See, people often look at YouTube as if YouTube represents reality. These people on YouTube don't represent reality. These people that are a part of this men going their own way and these other misogynists and these personalities like a Tommy Sotomayor and other people, they don't represent the overwhelming majority of black men. Most black men do not hate black women. The majority of black men date and marry black women. If the majority of black men hated black women so much, if the majority of black men were so misogynistic, they would not be dating and marrying black women by such large numbers. They simply wouldn't. These people on YouTube don't represent most black men. You can't find a regular black man that's walking down the street that supports men going their own way. I mean, that notion, that phrase sounds gay. Most men are not behind that kind of ideology or philosophy. Most men love black women too much to support that nonsense. Most black men are not supporters of white supremacy. Most black men are not like these so-called coons that defend white racists, that defend, bigotry and racism against black people, that support racism and white supremacy openly. Those people are in the minority. And I challenge anybody that refutes that to present some proof. Present proof that that's inaccurate. Present proof that most black men hate black women. Present proof that most black men are so fascinated and fixated on white women. And that brings me to another point. This sister, in her video, she talked about how black men talk about how they're opposed to white supremacy, but they love white women so much. And, so she presents this. And to back up that argument, she produces some pictures of Farah Khans Son and Farah Khans Son's wife, who's white. She presents that as if to suggest that black men love white women and black men are not really against white supremacy and all that kind of stuff. She uses Farrakhan as an example by saying, well, his son is married to a white woman and Farrakhan seems to be okay with that. He's not outraged and all that kind of stuff. She uses that as a basis to basically argue that he doesn't really oppose white women and he's not really opposed to white supremacy. First of all, I think that is an illogical argument because Farrakhan's son is an adult. The decisions of Farrakhan's adult son are no reflection of what Farrakhan believes. It's no reflection of Farrakhan's track record. That's a reflection of his son's own belief system. That's a reflection of his son's ideology. It has nothing to do with Farrakhan's commitment to black women or black people. You can't charge someone, for instance, with the crimes that are committed by that person's son or daughter. Often children go their own way in life, despite whatever kind of guidance they have received growing up. Children grow up to be adults and they go on to make their own decisions in life. They simply do, and it's wrong to basically tarnish Farrakhan based on the actions of his son, to put into question Farrakhan's commitment to his people. When his brother has been at the forefront of our struggle for decades now, at the forefront, facing racism, condemning racism publicly, speaking out all these years, not just speaking out, but actually building institutions for black people. To question his commitment to black people simply because of what his son has done, simply because his son made his own decisions about who he was going to marry, that seems to be ridiculous to me. And to suggest that this brother loves white women simply because he took a photograph with his daughter-in-law who's white, simply because he took a photograph with Kanye West and his white wife, Kim Kardashian, all of a sudden that means that Farrakhan is not committed to black women and black people. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Plain and simple as that. His track record speaks for itself. This man has been married to a black woman for decades in a strong, committed relationship, as far as I can tell, as far as I have seen. There's no evidence that this brother, Farrakhan, has been involved with any white women or anything like that. So to question his blackness or his commitment to the cause is just silly to me, based on what his son did or based on him taking a photograph with a celebrity. And then the same person in the video, they condemn Brother Polight. They had a photograph of Brother Polight with a white celebrity, a white female celebrity, to suggest that this brother is in love with white women, to suggest that this brother is not truly committed to the fight against white supremacy simply because the brother took a photograph with a celebrity. That's absurd to me because this brother is married to black women. This brother constantly defends and speaks out for black women. This brother speaks out against white supremacy. So to suggest that he's not true to the cause simply because he took a picture with a white celebrity, that's ridiculous. To suggest that he's not in opposition to white supremacy is foolish. It makes no sense to me. And I'll just conclude by making this point. And that's this. If a woman wants to swerve, a black woman wants to date interracially or to be involved in an interracial marriage, there's nothing that any of us can do to prevent her from doing so. There's nothing stopping her from doing so. I'll just say this, as I said in the comment section. Even though a woman has a right to do that, in America, this is a quote unquote free country. People can do what they choose to do. My problem is this. Don't come up with weak, lame excuses to justify what you already intended to do. Don't come up with some lame excuse about black men not defending black women when you have example after example after example of countless men here on YouTube defending black women. Don't come to me with that weak excuse when you have example after example in history of black men giving their very lives to protect their community and their women. Don't give me that BS, man. I'm sorry, I just can't take any BS, man. Any lame excuses and weak justifications for engaging in this conduct. And these same people that want to condemn the black man and talk about how the black man is sleeping with the woman who's giving birth to racist white people. These same people are turning around and trying to justify sleeping with the damn white man, the same white man that's killing black men in the street every day. The same white man that's racially profiling black people. The same white man that owns and controls the economic institutions in this society. The same institutions that hold us down and hold us back. That white man, they want to justify being in a relationship with him. And they use it by painting the black man as some kind of villain that they need to be rescued from. And I just think that that's silly. I think that that's ridiculous. So those are my thoughts. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.